Ch45 Everblaze. I wasn't sure if Grady and Edeline would let me see you, Fitz said as he settled on the flowered carpet of Sophie's bedroom. Aren't you grounded? Surprisingly, no. Sophie told him, resisting the urge to check her reflection and see how disastrous she looked. But Grady always finds more interesting ways to punish me. Is that why you smell like T-Rex breath? Fitz asked, laughing when she blushed. She just finished brushing Verdi's teeth when Fitz showed up, and she could still feel a slimy blob of dinosaur drool crawling down her back like a cold, sticky slug. It really wasn't fair that Fitz got to look like a teen model in his tailored blue jerkin with gray pants and a gray satchel slung across his shoulders, while she got to look and apparently smell like the thing a dinosaur's been chewing on. I'm sorry I didn't listen to you yesterday, Sophie mumbled, crossing her arms, trying to hide the fang-sized holes scattered along her tunic sleeves. I know you tried to stop me. I probably should have tried harder. It just happened so fast, but I wasn't going to let him take you. I transmitted to Kif that if the ground started to open up, I was going to tackle the king and should grab you and leap you somewhere safe. Sophie smiled, trying to imagine that. What did Kif say? That I was crazier than you and that I couldn't even tackle my little sister without getting pinned. But I told him I was still going to try. And I really thought I was going to have to. At least half of the counselors were nodding along as King Dimitar was talking. If Lady Cadence hadn't stepped in, I don't know what would have happened. Really? Sophie whispered. She knew she didn't have the full support of the council, but half. Yeah, it was pretty scary. Seriously. She pulled at the edges of one of the holes in her sleeve, stretching it wider. You must think I am a total idiot. Nah, I'm starting to wonder if you're trying to beat Kif's record for biggest interspatial episode, and if you are, I'm pretty sure you've won. The Great Gulan incident was epic, but it didn't almost spark a war. His voice hitched on the last word. I do get why you did it, though, he added quietly. And I'm guessing you didn't learn anything. Only that I've made it even harder for the council to investigate what's going on with the ogres. Your dad said we'd have to wait until my punishment is delivered and things hopefully go back to normal. Fitz sighed. Well, my dad said the punishment wouldn't be that severe. I hope he's right, but it's up to the council, so... She didn't finish the sentence, but Fitz must have guessed what she was thinking because he asked, Who do you think the new counselor will be? I have no idea. Hopefully someone who likes me. Yeah, I was hoping for Sir Tiergan, but my dad said the no kids rule applies to him even though his son is adopted. Who does your dad think it will be? Master Lito from the Silver Tower. I guess he's had the most nominations. Do you know him? Only a little. He's kind of weird, but he'd been nice to her the last few times she'd seen him, so he might be an okay choice. Who are the other nominees? A bunch of ancient guys I've never met. Oh, and Lady Cadence. She's kind of a long shot considering how many years she's been away. But after she smoothed things over yesterday, she got a lot of people nominating her. She also seemed to despise Sophie, but maybe she was getting over it. She had come to Sophie's defense. Then again, she'd also talked quite a lot about Sophie being punished. Hey, it's going to be okay. Fitz promised, and in the meantime, I brought something to cheer you up. You have no idea how hard it was sneaking this out past Biana. She wanted to come with me today, but... He opened his satchel and pulled out a fluffy red stuffed animal that reminded Sophie of a lizard, but with short fur and a bushy red and white tail. Mr. Snuggles! Fitz turned as red as his stuffed dragon, especially when she asked, You didn't tell me I was Sparky. Yeah, dragons have a sheen on their fur. Plus, Elwyn picked him, not me. Sparkles also make everything better. Well, except alicorn poop. I don't know, I think sparkly poop is way better than regular poop. That's because you've never fallen into a pile of it. You're right about that, his smile faded. You don't think he's stupid? Mr. Snuggles? He's adorable. He might even be better than Ella. They both turned to look at the bright blue elephant propped among the pillows on her bed. Well, maybe it's a tie, Sophie decided. Fitz laughed and set Mr. Snuggles down next to him with a quick pat to the head before he reached into his bag again. So, there was another reason I didn't want Diana to come with me today too. he said, pulling out a silver memory log with a jeweled Vacker crest on the cover. I've been working on Tyrgan's assignment, recording everything I remember from the day of the fire. And it's been taking a while since you sent me a lot of star maps when we're bottling the quintessence. She'd forgotten about that. I bet you can skip them. I doubt the council's going to need to see any of those. It's all information they can find anywhere. I wasn't sure, so I thought I'd try. You opened the memory log, flipping through page after page of black sky and carefully labeled stars. And I thought it was weird how clear the memories are. There's so much more detail than my usual projections. I flipped to the beginning of the memory log, showing her a scene he'd recorded of a dark-haired girl. She looked like Biana, but the features of her face were slightly off. Her nose was too broad and her eyes were too far apart. I recorded this in my telepathy session last year to test the accuracy of my memories. I was supposed to project an image of someone in my family and see how close it comes to their reality. Obviously, I messed a few things up. It's not perfect, but I still knew it was. Exactly. And my mentor said that's normal for those of us without photographic memories. Our minds hold on to an overall impression, not an exact recreation. Except for this. He flipped to the star maps again. In this, I remember every single star. Right, but I shared that memory with you, so I'm the one who remembered those details. But it would still be my memory of your memory, so it's supposed to be. And I would never be able to remember it so perfectly, not unless it came from you. But it did come from me. Yeah, but what I'm saying is, I think you sent it to me differently. If you transmitted it, the memory would have flashed through my mind just long enough for me to make my own record of it, which wouldn't have been as detailed. Only if you'd implanted it would the memories stay perfectly intact. Implanted? The word made Sophie think of microchips and alien probes and needles poking through skin. It's where you stick the memory in someone's mind, like shoving a book on someone else's bookshelf and leaving it there for them to reference later. Fitz explained, which at least sounded less creepy than what she'd been imagining, or it was until he said, I'm sure that's how the Black Swan put their secrets in your head. Otherwise, you would have known the memories were there. You can implant something without the person ever really looking at it. Okay, Sophie said slowly, her brain struggling to keep up. So, is implanting bad? Of course not. It's just a super hard skill only a few people can really pull off, but I guess I shouldn't be surprised anymore. You can pretty much do anything. He grinned at her, and Sophie wanted to take it as a compliment, but she wasn't sure she liked that she'd done it without even realizing. Did I implant anything else? She asked. That's what I'm trying to figure out. I've been searching my mind for anything that seems sharper and more detailed than my other memories, and I found this. He flipped over a few more pages and showed her an image of a formula so complex it might as well have been written in gibberish. Still, each number, line, and squiggle was exactly where it should be. That's how they make frison, Sophie said, remembering when she'd projected the classified formula in her memory log a few months back. Why would I have sent you that? Maybe it was on your mind since that's what we're gathering the quintessence for. Yeah, maybe, but the explanation sounded as empty as she felt. Did you find anything else? Fitz flipped through more pages, settling on another star map. Most of the stars weren't labeled, but there were 5 dark splotches with names. Luciliant, Phosphorine, Marquisier, Candicia, Elementin. But these are the unmapped stars, Sophie mumbled, holding the image closer to make sure she was seeing it correctly. That's what I thought. Weird that there's a map of the unmapped stars, isn't it? I don't understand. I don't know the stars. I mean, I do now that I'm looking at them, but I didn't know that I knew them, not until I read them. Isn't that how it always is when the memory gets triggered for you? Fitz asked. It is. But how could I implant the memory before I even remembered it? I don't know. I figured you must have remembered it since you knew how to find elementine. Maybe this is where your brain pulled that information from without you realizing. So it would be like you knew it, but you didn't know you knew it. Sophie wasn't entirely sure if that sentence even made sense. But how could she argue with what was right in front of her eyes? Was this it? Was the only other memory I implanted? Was that the only other memory I implanted? I'm still searching, so there could be more, but I definitely found one other. He flipped through the pages again, stopping on a scene of a round window with black iron bars crisscrossed over it. Can you read that? Fitz asked, pointing to a square sign hanging from a nearby lamppost, right under a red circle with a wide white line. It says, "Except authorized," Sophie told him, surprised Fitz had to ask. She studied the letters again, feeling her stomach tighten when she realized they actually said, "Exceto autorizzati," which did mean the same thing in Italian. "This is in the Forbidden Cities," Sophie practically shouted, grabbing the journal to get a better look. "I figured it had to be," Fitz agreed. "But it's not from any of the memories, so you must have implanted it." He was right. The memory was too sharp and clear. "But I don't remember it either." She also couldn't find any other memories to connect it to, or any reason why she would have been thinking about the window in Italy during the middle of a deadly fire. And why would the Black Swan bother implanting the stupid window in her head in the first place? Then she noticed the dark stain discoloring the yellow stones around the window. She thought it was just wear and weathering, but the perfectly curved shape was unmistakable, the sign of the Black Swan.